Welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be discussing the book of The Lovely Bones. So basically, I did see the movie, not the movie, but like just scenes in the movie, and I pieced it together and just like put the movies together in my head, what it's like I watched and what it's like about and stuff like that. And then I like read like the audiobook of it, and basically I'm just gonna like explain honestly what I think of it and how I feel about it and stuff like that. So basically, the book basically talks about how like a girl is basically like she's like how do I say? She's basically like murdered and then she's like taken and all that stuff. And so basically, number one, in the movie, they don't actually say that she's been like hard and stuff like that. What they say is that like what they show in the movie is like it's described in the book, but they just like leave out the RA. It's just like what happens is like in the movie is that he like tricks her into like the like okay, so basically so he's like trying to pressure her into going into the thing, and then after he like successfully like, pressures her into going into there and everything, he basically like kills her and stuff like that in the movie because she like tries to escape, but then it's like too late. And there's like it's like they're showing her being like in the in between and everything. Like they show that very quickly in the movie, but in the book they don't show like that. It's like very graphic and it's like very drawn out, and it's like he's like pressuring her and all that stuff to get in there. She like buckles down under the pressure, even though she's clear she doesn't want to do it, and then he's telling her to be polite and all that stuff. And then after that, they get in there, and then the first thing in the book that happens is that he's literally telling her to like take off her clothes and stuff because, like I said, the Lovely Bones book is very, 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 very graphic. If it was turned into a movie, I agree with people saying that it would be rated R because it was very like, very, very like disturbing. And then after that, he basically like assaults her and all that stuff. And the thing is that even when he does like assault her, she's literally still alive. It's just that she's like on the floor because she's just been through a lot and everything. And then after that, he tries to like put their like heartbeats together and so they can breathe together. And then after that, he basically literally tells her to say I love you. And then after that, he basically like holds a knife, and then what I'm guessing is basically like cuts her up, because after that part I was like, when I was reading the audiobook, I fell asleep, but I woke up because I was like so terrified because like I could just not sleep. I was just like literally traumatized from reading the first chapters of the book. I didn't even realize that. I just could not sleep. It was just traumatizing. And then after that part in the book, there is basically what happens after that. I don't remember the rest, but then there's like Samuel and all that stuff. I think she was supposed to be with Samuel in the book, I think. Or I don't remember. And then after that, I think they were, because like in the movie, I think she's like either with someone named Ray or like Samuel. I don't remember. But then after that, Lindsay and like Samuel would get together and they're like dating and stuff. And then after that, they end up like, yeah, and then after that, there's like Samuel, and then there's like Lindsay, stuff, and there's like in the book they show like stuff on like how they were like close to doing it and stuff like that. I don't know why I just said they did it, but like they were close to doing it, but they couldn't do it because I think they were on some like private property or something. I don't know, I don't remember. But then there's like a scene where like they're outside and it's like raining and they're like under a tree, and I'm like, you're making my head hurt. And then after that they end up like just like doing it outside, and I'm like, what the hell? And then after that they do it, and then Susie is like watching it because she's like in heaven at this point. Like in the beginning of the book, she like describes that what like being in between is and what heaven is being like. And then she like does talk about how at first she didn't really like heaven because she was like, she just got murdered, she was hard and all that stuff. So she's like trying to get used to it, and then she gets used to heaven, and then she's kind of like, and like the end of the book, she's kind of like, yeah, I actually do like heaven. And she's like, I like heaven because I get to do these things, I get to watch over people and all that stuff. So she like turns from not really liking heaven to really loving it. Back to Samuel and Lindsay and all that stuff. So after that, they end up like doing it and stuff like that outside in the rain under a fucking tree. Wow, I was shocked. But in the book, because it's like rated PG, Samuel and Lindsay, I don't even think they were together in the book. In the movie, actually, I think in the movie it was Susie was possessing somebody to kiss Samuel. I don't even think they did it in the movie. I don't remember that. I'm pretty sure they didn't actually do anything in the movie, but like Susie possesses someone so they could kiss Samuel because she wanted to experience that type of love. Yeah. So that blind blown. And then after that, she kind of describes like Lindsay and Samuel's like, well, Lindsay's first time with like Samuel sexually. She's kind of like explaining it, and when she like said that, my heart shattered because I was like, that's actually really depressing. Like when she said that, my heart like shattered because I was like, damn, her like not sexual awakening, but her first like time and everything, at least Susie's, was with like, as she says it, with blood and with violence. But her sister's first time was with love and bliss and respect and care and sadness. And I was like, I didn't even realize that. But then at the same time, the scenes were so graphic that it was like, yeah, that's what happened in the book. And it was just so sad because she didn't deserve that. Yeah, and then after like those chapters go by, there's like the funeral, and then there was like Susie's mother and like Lindsay's mother and everything. Basically, I want her to go into like Susie's room and get her clothes and all that stuff. Honestly, at that point, I was like pissed because I'm a person who I really don't like people in my space. Like, I don't want people wearing my clothes. I don't want people being in my vicinity unless I want them in my vicinity. And that part pissed me off. Like, I understand she's dead, but respect her clothes. Like, when I'm dead and gone, I don't want anybody in my room. I don't want anybody touching my things. I don't want anybody around my stuff. I want, like, for me at least, when I'm dead and everything, I don't want anybody in my vicinity. I don't want anybody in my room. I don't want anybody touching my things. Like, no, thank you. Don't touch my shit. I mean that. Like, when I'm dead, I will, like, I'm saying this, vengeance is mine, because I'm not letting anybody touch my things when I'm dead and I'm gone. I mean it. Like, don't touch my things. It just pissed me off in the book. And then after that, the father like knows that's like Harvey's like the murder and stuff like that, but he can't like prove it and stuff. And then after that, everybody's like on his case for it, and is like, and then everybody's just like on his case, like just getting mad at him because he's saying the truth. Because that's the thing, Harvey is literally the murderer and the reason why Susie is dead. And the father knows this and he's like admitting it. And everybody's like, oh, just like literally brushing him off. And it's like, oh, it's not true. He's not a murderer. He's weird. He's a weird dude, but he would never do that. And everybody's just brushing it off. And that's what made me so angry. That's what like pissed me off. But in the way of the book and how they did it was like, how they did it was that there was a rose, like flowers that Harvey used to grow in his like backyard, and he would like watch Susie go on her bicycle. And then people pointed out that the reason why he no longer went to basically take care of his plants anymore, because just like the plants, Susie is, and then I figured that just like the plants, Susie is also dead, so there was like no point in taking care of the plants. And I was like, oh my god, that's beautiful symbolism. It's like heartbreaking but beautiful. And then after that, what happened? Yeah, and then after that, he tried to like get him at the house because he ran with like some twigs and stuff. Ran inside the house. He started beating them in the house and all that stuff, as he should. And then Harvey ran away like a little boy. And then after that, some people like pointed out that he was like unknowingly helping build the trap for his daughter and all that stuff. And I'm like, I never really thought about that actually, but if that's true, that's even more heartbreaking. I wish they pointed that out more in the movie and the book though. And then after all that happens, there is like a point in where, oh yeah, and then there's actually a point in where they discuss like the how basically what happens is that there's like a bracelet he keeps, which is also in the book and the movie. Like there's a bracelet and then the hat, so that's also both in the book and the movie. But in the movie, in the book, there's like an elbow, and that's like what happened. But in the book, no, yeah, and no, in the book, there's an elbow, and that's how they know that she died. But in the movie, there's like lots of like traces of blood. Like they found it, and then I think they like linked it back to her, and they were like, that's how they knew that she died, because of like it was like found in a cornfield, and there was like a lot of blood. And I'm gonna guess they traced it back to her, but I don't think so, because like it was the 70s, so maybe technology wasn't as good. But that's like basically how they found out that she died. But then I think the reason why they couldn't do anything about it was because they couldn't find a body, and that was because Harvey decided to take like the body parts and everything and put it in what do you call that, a safe. And then one thing that angered me was the fact that the safe and everything he hid, I think it was like the safe was the one that everybody was like playing around. No, that's not what happened. What happened was that he had paid somebody to get rid of it for him, and that's why I never found it. I didn't even realize that. I don't know why I was saying that, but he paid somebody to get rid of the safe, and that's why. And then on top of that, yeah, and then after that in the book, it actually talks about, for some reason, I don't know why in the book they're trying to get you to sympathize with him, but basically what happens is that it explains that he actually was, before he started killing people, he started to kill animals. And then in the book it was like, oh, he started to kill animals because it was his way of not killing little girls and stuff like that. So he was practicing on animals, because there was actually like a part in the book where it like explains that there was this person and people had pets and they were scared that the person was doing it, was killing. But in reality, it was literally Harvey who was actually killing the pets, because it was either they thought some little boy was killing the pets, or they thought their pets ran away. I think it was like their pets ran away, or either some little boy was killing the pets. But in reality, it was just Harvey was using his way of like coping with wanting to kill like little girls and stuff. So instead of like at that point before he started to like kill and stuff like that, he would like literally kill the animals, and then eventually he killed like Susie and stuff. I don't know in the book if like he does kill other girls, but I don't think so. But in the movie, he does like go on a killing spree of like little girls and stuff, like by age. I think actually, I'm not. I think yeah. Cause yeah, but in the book they actually do show that he went. I think so, because like in the book, because in the book they actually discussed that when he would do like such things as like kill like people and stuff like that, well, not people, little girls and stuff, he would basically like keep little like trinkets and stuff. At least I think he did. But there was one part in the book where he basically ends up like getting some like little girl in a van, and then after he gets her like in the van and stuff like that, she starts like screaming, and she just like won't like stop screaming. And then after that, people heard the screaming, and then after that, they heard the screaming, people came, and then he tried to like hurry her out, but he couldn't, because she kept on screaming. And then after that, they basically were like getting mad at him, and they were like, oh, why are you doing this to a little girl, and leave her alone. And then after that, but what weirds me is the fact that I feel like they should have included that in the movie, because at least to me it would have showed some good foreshadowing, because it's like in the book they do explain that part, but it's like, shouldn't that at least add on to the creepiness of who he is as a person? Because someone who goes out of their way to kidnap children and little girls and stuff like that, lure them into vans, but somehow in the book and in the movie he isn't seen as a creep, is like, I mean, he's seen as a creep, but I feel like that would have added on to the creepiness. But at least for me, that was just weird. And how they just let him go like it was nothing. And they just believed him because he literally was like, oh, I'm just fixing her shoe. And it's like, if you were fixing a shoe, why was she screaming? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then after that woman's intuition, there was like, I think it was like, it's like two women, or I think it was like a woman and like Susie, because Susie was like in heaven at this point. I'm not sure, but it was some girls or some like women, and they were just like looking at each other, and I was like, yeah, that's women's intuition. They knew something isn't right. But for some reason, and then they basically explained that the other two like people in the room, like the men, didn't see it, and I was like, yeah, it was women's intuition. It's very real. Yeah, but yeah, like I was saying, the point is that female, woman, um, girl intuition is very real, and the fact that like yeah, and then after that, the man did not like see it and stuff like that because man intuition doesn't exist and all that stuff. And then I'm like, but I don't like I said, the real reason why they didn't see it was because men intuition doesn't exist, and to them it's nothing. But to like women, girls, and females, it's like everything. They see it, but the men don't. So that's probably what happened. But at the same time, I feel like they should have added it just to like add on to the creepiness, because he in the movie and everything, he was like a creep and everything, but the book, he was a next level creep. Like in the book, he is literally described to have like a chair where he would like literally watch Lindsay, and he would like watch like the girls and stuff like that over at the sports team thing, but mostly just Lindsay and all that stuff. And he like they literally described like the house, because I don't think people actually know this, but they were literally neighbors and stuff. And then the mother's house is like described as being clean and stuff like that. And then Harvey's house is described as having like her blood and stuff like that in the house. And he ends up going to like a secret part of the house. I think it's where he killed Susie or something. I don't remember. Ugh, a lot. Yeah, and then after that, there is like literally the other big thing is that in the book, the mother and the cop literally have an affair, and it's literally about her husband is literally in the hospital. After basically what happens is that he thinks that he sees like Harvey, and it's really like Clarissa, and then they end up like getting into it, and then they basically both end up in the hospital. And then after that, you know, there's like a little foreshadowing in the part of the book, because it basically explains that is like a scene, and the husband is talking, and is like, oh, my husband, my wife, like when we go to bed, she like will like he will try to touch her and stuff like that, but she will like flinch, and she doesn't want to be touched by him. But then she's like, but when this police officer man comes around, she's all happy, she's all excited, she's all in his face basically. And then after that, there's like another scene where I don't know if like it was in a hospital or something, but there was like a scene in the book where just like the police officer, and it's the Susie's mother, Lindsay's mother, whatever. Yeah, and they basically end up like having like sex in a scene and all that stuff. Cause there's even like one part where what do you call it? The officer's like, what about your husband? What about your husband? And then she's like, oh, whatever. She doesn't really care. So they basically both end up like doing it in like a scene together. And I was shocked because I know they kissed at one point, but I didn't expect them to like have sex and stuff. Cause I was shocked. Cause in the what do you call it? In the movie, that actually does not happen at all. It's more of just like a serious relationship of we need to find your child. But like in the book, it's they literally have a flat out affair. And the saddest part, I wouldn't say sad, but like, and there's like this part where he knows, he just does not care, and they end up just like staying married and stuff. Yeah, and then like Lindsay, or is it the mother? It's like a flashback. I don't remember. Somebody basically ends up like getting pregnant. I think it's Lindsay, because like it's described as the lady having at least like 3 kids, and I know for a fact in the movie and the show there's only 2 kids, so I'm gonna say it's Lindsay, because like they describe it as like she her and Samuel, they like fool around, and then she ends up like missing her like stuff. She misses like her thing, and then she goes for like a doctor's visit, and she's like pregnant basically, and then I think she goes on to have at least 3 kids, I think. Anywho, all I gotta say is that I literally did enjoy the book, and I would say I enjoyed the movie. 10 out of 10 I would recommend. I would say grab your tissues, grab your popcorn, because the movie is very sad, and the book is very, 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 very graphic. So, mature audiences is only. I, wow.